morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. It is Monday morning, another week of the news and of our spirited discussions. Lindsay, nice to see you.
Who needs coffee when they have us,
Oh,
right?
I need coffee. Every morning I need coffee. You were just asking me if I was a morning person. I'm not a morning person, despite hosting a morning news show for the last 4 years. Coffee is what gets me through it.
I feel like there's two people, and both of us are not the second. One is the people who are not morning people, and the second is the people who wake up and go to the gym and do all the things in the morning.
Yeah.
Not either of us.
Yeah.
But I want to know what's on your radar now that we are up and alert.
Let's get to it. So, viewers are by now overly familiar with the phrase Dems in disarray, owing to the unique amount of dysfunction that the leaderless, aimless, and often clueless Democratic Party has been manifesting in recent months. But if we're both being honest with ourselves, you and I, the GOP is now dealing with its own drama. Let's call it MAGA in the miasma. I refer, of course, to the controversy over the Trump administration's failure to release more files pertaining to the late Jeffrey Epstein, a disgraced financier and sexual predator who died while awaiting charges. Now, the latest news is that the FBI Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, is furious with Attorney General Pam Bondi for botching the release of the Epstein files and causing many of the MAGA faithful to turn on the administration, even to criticize President Trump, something that almost never happens. Bondi famously invited MAGA influencers to the White House to receive the Epstein files Part 1, which didn't actually contain any new information about associates who may have abused underage women at Epstein's invitation and direction. Now, Bondi has taken the position that there's no Epstein client list, no cover-up, no conspiracy, nothing to see here. The MAGA faithful know that such an outcome is not good enough. Patel and Bongino in particular vowed to bring greater transparency to this issue if they ever got into power, and they correctly resent being made to look like fools by an attorney general who's now blatantly contradicting herself on whether there are files at all. Late last week, Bongino and Bondi apparently had it out. According to reports, Bongino is seriously considering exiting the Trump administration altogether. He might resign. He deeply resents the position that Bondi has put him in. So does Kash Patel. Now, whether either figure will actually end up leaving the Trump administration, that of course remains to be seen. Trump himself seems to think the Epstein files are no big deal at this point. He actually published a lengthy Truth Social post over the weekend in which he reiterated his own confidence in Pam Bondi. Trump writes this: "What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from Bleep, and more? Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she is looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Well, that's a mouthful. Trump is certainly entitled to his opinion that there are more important things than Epstein. Seems like the MAGA base doesn't necessarily agree. This post on Truth Social represents the first time ever that Trump was ratioed on his social media site, according to Newsweek. Ratioing is when a post gets more comments than it does likes or retweets. That means people don't like it. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh had this to say on X: "The Attorney General said she had the client list on her desk. The White House made a big show of giving binders marked Epstein Files Phase 1 to a bunch of influencers. Now they tell us there's no list and we should stop talking about it. Well, then why did you say there was a list? Why did you pull that stunt with the influencers? Why did you call it Phase 1, obviously implying that there were more phases to come? If you claim that all of this seems normal, above board, and honest, you're being extremely obtuse. We're Americans. We don't accept obvious bleep from our political leaders. We don't move on from a topic just because we've been instructed to do so." Yeah, I think Matt Walsh is on to something. And it is really interesting, Lindsay. The kind of main rule of our politics for the last 10 years has been Trump's people, Trump's base does not turn on him, does not disagree with him. There can be internal disagreements among MAGA policy fights, but it's not about Trump being wrong. This is a rare circumstance where I'm seeing a lot of it on social media. People who love Trump, who supported Trump, are disappointed in what the administration is saying, is doing with respect to Epstein. I would say that the administration, not really Trump specifically, but certainly Bondi, and it's interesting he's sticking by her because she screwed this up. There's no way around it. She set the MAGA base up for disappointment. She could have said from the start that we think a lot of the files have been released and we're not sure there's all that much more. Could have said things of that nature, but set people up to be disappointed by the revelation so far.
You can't deflect and then say, oh, look over here, let's talk about something else. Because two issues can be important, particularly to Trump's base. Because I don't think a lot of people outside of that were calling for this to continue going on, looking into the Jeffrey Epstein case. However, now that it's on the table, and now that we know a lot of people have asked to comb away the bureaucracy and get to the truth of the matter, the fact that this switch is just happening and he wants everyone to pretend like it shouldn't be a question is absurd. Also, blaming it on Obama and going down that list was also absurd. But I think he needs to make sure that he is answering to his base, because Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi all went on a podcast interview spree about these files and client lists. And so at the very least, we have to figure out what the lie was. Was the lie that you had access to so much information that was going to break and blow all of our minds? Or was the lie that you always been telling a lie and just egging people on and there's nothing in there? Or is the lie that you're covering up for someone? I think these are real questions, especially with that Wired article that came out last week that showed that software for editing, Adobe Premiere, specifically was used for the tape. Like,
because
I'm not
Bondi
even
says that
theorist.
1 minute of missing footage, she said, oh, that's every night they have 1 minute of missing footage because of the resetting of the cameras. That's what she said. And now we find out, yes, the tape was edited. Like, come on, guys. Nobody believes that there isn't more to this story, and you gotta give up more information, especially when you ran on that and you promised that. I do, however, find it interesting that Democrats are, for the first time ever, kind of interested in this story. We have to have two sides to everything. So now that the official MAGA administration, the Donald Trump position, is now nothing to see here, it's all overblown. Like I saw AOC tweeting about, we got to get to the bottom of the Epstein files. Oh my God, none of you people cared for 1 second about this story until now. People are mad at Trump about it, so now it's going to be your cause célèbre.
I'll be the first one to tell you I did not care. But I'm eating this up, because if you watch this play out, you're watching...
Well, you're one of them then.
Fine, I'm one of them. I'll raise my hand proudly, because Elon Musk brought it up and you saw the demise of their relationship, and now you're seeing people like Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, who by all standards are, amenable to President Trump in every single way.
Tucker's furious, and we're going to talk about his reaction a little bit later in the show, because he spoke at Turning Point USA over the weekend and said a lot of interesting things. And
so did Megyn Kelly, and she specifically called for Pam Bondi to go. So like you said, why is he protecting Pam Bondi? My theory is always he doesn't want to make any enemies that can go ahead and write tell-all books like we saw come out of his first administration. He's trying to limit the number of people that end up in the crosshairs.
I actually think he never really cared about this story very much. If you go back and look at what he specifically has said about the Epstein files, like he said, oh, sure, I'll release whatever, but there might be people whose names are just in it who are not even accused, and it's going to be ugly for them, so we don't want to release damaging information that it's not fair. He seemed to have I don't know if he was referring to himself. He seemed to have a "this is Me Too" overreach kind of attitude about it, which there is an element to that, to be clear. Virginia Giuffre, the main accuser, accused a bunch of people, including Alan Dershowitz, and she recanted that accusation. And when that happens, I have to disregard everything else you say. But we were hoping we would get more clarity, and that has not yet happened. Next up on Rising, President Trump is giving many of our closest allies and trading partners an ultimatum: make a deal or face heavy tariffs. We'll talk about it.